guys are reading. You guys are reading things from Dave Meltzer, and what the fuck does Dave Meltzer know?
It's the nature of the business, basically.
Right.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Retro Wrestling Room. And here's another instalment of our 5-star match series, where we take a look back at all the matches that Dave Meltzer has rated 5 stars or more, and see if we agree with that rating. Today, as always, I have with me the earthquake to my typhoon, Vicky through the looking glass.
Hi guys.
How are you today, Vicky?
Yeah, not too bad. The sun is shining and it finally feels like spring is here after what feels like a very long winter.
How do you feel the recording of episode 1 went?
I think it went quite well and there wasn't too many outtakes.
No, there wasn't, was there? We did.
I was pleasantly surprised.
No, we got through it quite well, actually. No, I think it was really, really fun to record, and I do really love that match.
Yeah, it was a good match.
Today we're going to look back at a match that took place in the UK and which took place in a British promotion. This is Will Ospreay versus Zack Sabre Jr. from Revolution Pro High Stakes 2020.
Before we start, I just want to add in that my notes on this started off great. So firstly I put Jack Sabre Jr. instead of Zack Sabre Jr. I spelled Ospreay wrong, and then for some reason I put 2002 instead of 2020. So we're off to a good start here, guys. So I just feel like I should add a caveat at the beginning that I'm sorry if anything I say is factually incorrect. I must have been tired when we watched this one.
Yeah, I think we did watch it quite late, actually.
If there's one guy I'm proud of, it is him, because let's face it, like I feel like Zack, for me, is the reason why we're all over here, because when he came over to Bola in 2014, and he came over here on his own, and when he done that, I was like, oh, I wonder what British wrestling's like these days. Yeah. Everyone's looking at progress, and it's like, oh, it's like, I put it hand on heart, I feel like Zack is the sole reason we're all over here, so we owe Zack a lot. So
he got the foothold, and then everything.
Yeah,
what else is going on over there?
He opened the door just enough for us to all squeeze in.
Over the last 20 years, the British wrestling scene has been fighting to distance itself from the stigma attached to it from the smoking working men's clubs of the 1980s and bring it up to more to date and carve a new name for itself. I know there's loads of other promotions that I'm going to miss, and I don't mean to offend any of the promotions, but here's just a basic little guide. It started when the FWA and 1PW started to bring over the best of the American indies and mixing them with our new up and coming stars. And then, over the last 7 to 8 years or so, companies like ICW, Progress, and the company that hosted this bout today, RPW, have taken the British wrestling scene and made it one of the most special wrestling scenes in the entire world. Much like ECW in the mid-90s though, as soon as a new star was emerging, they were quickly snapped up by the major US promotions. Ring of Honor snapped up Marty Scurll and Mark Haskins, AEW took Jimmy Havoc, and the WWE started an entire new offshoot to take most of the major players. Will Ospreay and Zack Sabre Jr., however, decided to apply their trade on the other side of the globe in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I think it's fair to say that these two are two of the most accomplished wrestlers from the UK, and just look at these accolades. Zack Sabre Jr. in tag teams has won the RPW tag titles with Marty Scurll, the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships, and the WXW tag team titles with Volta. On his own, he has won the Battle of Los Angeles in 2015, been a PWG heavyweight champion, won the Super Strong Style 16 tournament in 2018, and won the 2018 New Japan Cup, as well as also being the RPW heavyweight champion. Will Ospreay has won countless tag team titles with Paul Robinson as the Swords of Essex, the ROH television title, the Progress title, the Super Strong Style 16 tournament in 2015, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight belt, the Never Openweight title, and many, many more as well. Zack Sabre Jr. has now got a total of 3 5-star matches to his name, and Will Ospreay has 8. Does that surprise you at all, Vicky?
Yeah, that's quite high numbers considering the amount of 5-star matches there are. Because didn't AJ Styles only have the one?
AJ Styles only had one, Christopher Daniels only had one, and I think Samoa Joe had something like 3.
Okay. Still quite high though. But I guess indie style wrestling, you've got more opportunity to have a good match compared to like more mainstream like WWE and things. I feel like overall the events are better, but individual matches aren't.
So things like, well, put it this way, some of the greatest, say, wrestlers of all time, people like Kurt Angle, he's got no 5-star matches.
But that's because his neck's been destroyed for at least 40 years.
He has now, but think about how many amazing matches he had back with Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, I guess.
You know, Shawn Michaels has only got a couple on the list.
Is this guy impartial to like WWE and WWE style wrestling, or is he giving more 5-star matches to indie matches because that's his like preferred style? Because indie matches and WWE matches are two completely separate things.
Well, that's it. I mean, I think there was only, was it 13 matches we said last week of WWE matches? That includes NXT and stuff. So that's all that he's given WWE. But he's always been a big fan of, say, New Japan and All Japan, especially in the 90s for All Japan, and then especially more modern for New Japan, where both of these now wrestle. So, you know, he's obviously going to have his own bias, but does it surprise you that, say, Will Ospreay has 8 and then Kurt Angle has none?
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels has maybe 2?
Yeah, that does surprise me.
You want your rematch in England? My pleasure. My pleasure. I had one of the best times of my life choking the colour out of you in Sapporo. But I couldn't give a flying toss about Sapporo. I care about East London, about York Hall, Bethnal Green. This is a Revolution Pro British Heavyweight Championship. So I will gladly defend this at Revolution Pro. But Billy boy, Billy no brains, Billy the wanker, you think you got my number? So you pinned me once with a Stormbreaker? How many times have I squeezed the life out of you? You little prick, how many times? You've got my number? I don't think so. You're in the yellow pages, mate. You wanna know Will Ospreay's number? 1-800-dickhead.
High Stakes 2020 took place on Valentine's Day in the world-famous York Hall from Bethnal Green, London. I must admit, even before the matches started and even before the ring announcer has announced the competitors, I must say I wanted to switch it off. When the announcer announces that the match will be for one fall, the entire crowd chant back one fall. It makes me shudder every time. I don't know why it irritates me so much for me, but it's like Austin's what chant?
What?
What? It just goes through me every
What?
don't start. It's just one of those things that really, really irritates me.
You have always said that for years.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall.
People just always think they're so clever every time they go, one fall. And it's just one of my bugbears. I don't know why. The challenger, Will Ospreay, who is representing Chaos, makes his way out first to his fan favourite theme song, Elevated. How good is that song, Vic?
It is good.
It's just a brilliant song. It's one of the best. I know he's not an indie star now, he is New Japan, but it's one of the best like indie theme songs I think I've heard in a long, long time.
No, Grado.
Grado, yeah. Okay, yeah. Grado's theme song was amazing. It's a pity you couldn't use that when he went to TNA.
I know.
Oh, sad times. The commentators talk about how Ospreay made his way back home from Japan and has been working tirelessly with his original trainers all week, and that they've come up with a game plan to capture the gold from Sabre Jr. You don't very often get to hear commentators talk about original trainers or game plans, so this is really an addition that I really liked here.
My first note that I put was that the opening feels more like a fight than a wrestling match. Like they were building it up like when you watch a UFC or anything like that. Like the build-up was more of a fight build-up. But I will say at the beginning, if you're going to watch this match, play a drinking game that every time he mentions Japan or a Japanese wrestler, you'll be dead. Honestly, you'll be passed out within 10 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
I was going to do a tally, but he does mention it a lot, so I think it's good that they are throwing back to another promotion and they are like highlighting like how good they were and the names, like the names they were name dropping of who they've beaten and faced before.
Yeah.
But it was a lot. Maybe they've just learned how to say them and they were quite proud of themselves, because if I could say all the Japanese names, I would probably use that knowledge.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm amazed I can say Asuka and Shinsuke Nakamura, that's my limit.
As the champion makes his way out to the ring, Andy Boy Simmons talks about him being the best technical wrestler on the planet today. I think it's fair enough to say that, because as we're recording this, they've just released the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards for this year, and Zack Sabre Jr. has been, he's been voted the best technical wrestler in the world, and he's won that title every year since 2014.
Okay, fair.
So I think it's a fair assessment to call him the best technical wrestler in the world these days. There's one guy in the crowd as well, and I don't know if you noticed it, Vic, because you didn't say it when we were watching it. I'm pretty sure he even changes seats at the very start of the match, and he gets up and stands up as Zack Sabre Jr. is coming out and just starts flipping him off.
Didn't notice.
But he just looks so angry. He's all in black. I think he's got a hat on as well, and you just see him just both hands up, just giving him the double bird as he's coming to the ring. And if you look just before it, I'm pretty sure he swaps seats just so he can get closer to the guardrail, so he can get in Zack Sabre's face.
I'd put money on that being his best mate then.
I hope so. I hope it is somebody that really likes him in real life. The commentator runs down the names of the people he has beaten in title matches, which include the phenomenal AJ Styles, Ishii, Shibata, and Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Now I'm adding that you've learnt your Japanese wrestlers' names as well.
Yeah. Zack Sabre Jr., who is representing Suzuki Gun, is 100% into the heel character tonight, as he makes his way over to Ospreay's corner and tries to intimidate him, but he's having none of it and tries to stay as calm as possible. Much like the last episode, this really does have that big match feel again, and even without watching a promo package or anything like that in the run up to the show, it really does feel like a big deal.
Yeah, I felt that as well.
I must say, I know we joked about the commentators name dropping all the time, but they did make the match feel bigger than it was, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't say it's a bad thing.
What did you think of Will Ospreay's entrance jacket with a big lion on the shoulder?
Nice.
Yeah, I got time for that. It's little things like that just make the little bit more effort.
I like wrestlers to have a character. I've always said that. Like, I'm not into big gimmicks and novelty wrestling, but I like wrestlers to have a character. Like, I like wrestlers to have I always say nickname, but there's a proper term for it.
Monica.
Like, I like it to be like Bret the Hitman Hart, Shawn Michaels the Heartbreak Kid. Like, I like them to have something else and not just be their names. I'm trying to think. I can't think of two wrestlers with normal names now. We'll use Stone Cold Steve Austin. To say he was just Steve Austin and he was facing Mick Foley, it'd be Steve versus Mick. Like, to me, that's got nothing around it. I like them to have a character or to have something, or just some sort of something just to give them like a hook, but nothing, not too novelty, but just something a little bit extra. And I feel like WWE is lacking that at the moment. Yeah,
they do seem to be lacking a little bit, or they try and force the names on them. Like Roman Reigns now is the head of the table, and they just say it in every single match, whereas a couple of years ago it was the big dog, and they just kept throwing it in all the time. I think my favourite at the moment is the Genius of the Sky, Io Shirai.
I like that one.
Yeah. Not just because it rhymes, but I just think it's a really cool name. So yeah, Will Ospreay's is the aerial assassin,
Yeah.
and if you notice on his gear and a lot of his stances, he based his character on the character from Assassin's Creed.
Now you've said it, it's really obvious, but I hadn't put two and two together.
Yeah, it's a game that I know of, but I've never actually delved into, to be honest.
I played the first two.
PS3?
I think so.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
We'll cut it out if it's wrong. As the ring bell tolls, Ospreay immediately starts off jittery, as if he's feeling the pressure of a title match, which is exactly how some MMA fights begin until they settle into the match.
Yeah.
He starts by trying to technical wrestle with Sabre, but is coming up short each time, as this plays into the champion's strong points. Ospreay hits a low single on Sabre Jr. and applies a toe hold. Zack shouts something at him as he pulls down on it even harder. It actually made me wince because it looks like it's causing a bit of torque on the knee.
Yeah.
I know it's because I do things like jiu-jitsu training, but every time I see knees that bend the wrong way, and because I've had knee injuries before, it just always makes me wince a little bit more than other things. Zack tries to spin out, but he gets pulled straight back down to the mat. Sabre then again spins out and locks in a cravat. Ospreay this time spins out, and they both keep reversing and scrambling until Sabre Jr. gets the upper hand by locking in a toe hold of his own. Ospreay manages to turn out and just about misses with two wild looking kicks.
I already really like the quick pacing and the linked moves. It feels like it's got a really good pace, and you can tell it's going to be a good match. Straight off.
Yeah. Just the way they reverse and everything, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. After a quick breather, Zack Sabre Jr. takes down the challenger with a swift hip throw and tries to lock up the arm. It's so clear that Sabre Jr. has a real understanding of shoot ground holds, as every transition to the mat looks really genuine. Even a simple thing like the way he spreads his hips down to the mat just makes it more realistic to even people that say maybe don't watch wrestling but watch more MMA or jiu-jitsu or something.
Yeah, because a couple of times when they've said, when a commentator on other matches has said they've got an armbar locked in, they haven't got it locked in.
Yeah.
Nowhere near close.
Yeah,
Their arm's fine.
That's it, yeah, their arms bent, or when they're applying the arm lock, their legs are really wide apart. They're things to me that bug me, but Zack Sabre Jr. obviously knows a lot of these things. So without applying an arm bar, for instance, really lifting his hips into it, he'll hold it all in position, but he's obviously not applying the pressure.
Yeah.
But he'll hold it all in the right place so everything looks so accurate. I can see why some people don't particularly like Zack Sabre Jr. because he's got a really British style of wrestling. He is very mat based heavy rather than flying round the ring.
Yeah, I know what you mean. For me, when I was watching the match, the first, I know we're running through it now, I'd say the first 60% it wasn't a 5-star match for me. The first 60% I was a bit, I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of British wrestling myself, and as you said, it felt like it was a British style of wrestling, so for me I was a bit, I think because I was comparing it to last week as well, I didn't feel like it was good. By the end of it, I thought it really kicked in, but the first, say, 60%, it was just an alright match.
That's fair, that's what this series is all about then. The next section or spot is then so fast, I just couldn't keep up to write anything down. The reversals and turns were just too quick, but Ospreay finishes with a Hurricane Rana to the outside and threatens a dive, but instead hits his handstand springboard off the ropes and lands in his superhero pose. Did you like his Spider-Man pose?
I had time for that.
He then lands a high crossbody over the top rope. On the outside, he lands some horrible sounding chops, which I think he must have perfected when he'd been in Japan. Or maybe he'd watched back the match from last week where we kept saying about how horrible the chops sounded.
Maybe.
The next chop in the ring drops Zack Sabre Jr. to his knees. Zack tries to mount the comeback, but Ospreay lands a horrible looking kick to the thigh which buckles the champion, but then misses a standing moonsault, and Zack Sabre Jr. locks in the hold where he crosses his feet around his opponent's neck, but the challenger just about reaches the ring ropes. The commentators then refer to Sabre Jr. as a human torture device. which is a call that I really, really like.
Yeah.
I think it's a great nickname for him. He then starts roughhousing the challenger with elbows to the spine and standing on his face.
I thought it looked like he was giving him a deep tissue massage with the elbows to the spine. It's like, if he just moved to the side slightly, that'd be delightful.
Yeah. I think the fact that Ospreay had so many marks on his back, like from that cupping thing that he'd obviously had done before the match, that makes the digging and the prodding look even more painful to me. Because the way he was just digging his elbows into some of those spots, it just made me go, ow, every time he did it. He then puts Ospreay in the submission hold that was made famous by Kendo Nagasaki back in the World of Sport days. He tries to pull Ospreay into a surfboard, but he rolls all the way through, hits the ropes to land his spinning back kick, but Zack Sabre Jr. has it scouted and catches the leg, brings him down to the mat to lock in an STF, but he gets to the ropes just before he can fully lock in the hold with his hands. Sabre feels that he's taking control of the match at this point and cockily lands a few kicks and shoulder strikes until Ospreay lands a big forearm and then his signature handstand springboard spinning kick off the ropes, which drops the champion. I love the way Zack Sabre Jr. sells here. Instead of jumping all over the ring, his legs just buckle and he grabs his head as if he really has just been clattered. The way he just crumbles to the ring and he kind of just blinks his eyes really hard and holds his head. It's kind of like, oh man, that hurt.
Yeah, you felt it, didn't you?
Yeah, rather than just like, because it's one of my bugbears as well in wrestling, where they get hit with something, act like they're completely knocked out, eyes closed as if it's a knockout. They just roll over, they kick out a two, and then do a move of their own. It's like, how have you gained consciousness and got back into the lead like straight away?
Yeah.
Ospreay throws Zack into the ropes and lands a lovely forearm blow. He then lands his delayed basement dropkick in the corner. He gets ready to charge at Sabre Jr. again, but gets thrown onto the apron, delivers a strike, and lands his AJ Styles inspired phenomenal forearm for the 2 count. Ospreay then lands a standing shooting star press, but again only manages a 2 count. He then throws Zack into the ropes, but misses a dropkick. Sabre Jr. then goes for a submission hold again, but Ospreay gets back to the ropes just to break the hold in time. They both start trying to hit strikes, but both of all the moves scouted until Zack Sabre Jr. lands a high angle suplex, which looks particularly nasty. Sabre then drops Ospreay with a stiff European uppercut in the centre of the ring and starts dishing out disrespectful kicks to the downed opponent, who finds his way to his feet and lands a massive forearm. He starts jabbing him and kicks him and goads him to deliver a free blow. He hits the ropes, lands 2 big kicks and jumps into a guillotine choke, but Ospreay powers him up into a brainbuster. Ospreay goes for the Ozcutter, but Zack Sabre Jr. catches him and goes for another suplex, but Ospreay lands on his feet again and hits a kick to the back of the head. They then both go into a quick pinning reversal routine, but again can only both get 2 counts. They're just both so smooth with each other. I think it's because because they are really good, but because they've had many matches in the past.
Yeah, you could tell they've wrestled together before.
Yeah, everything was just so smooth, nothing looked disjointed or that they didn't quite know what they were going to go for next.
Yeah, it did feel just like effortless, really.
Ospreay goes for the cheeky Nando's in the corner, but Zack Sabre Jr. jumps over him straight into a rear naked choke.
I love that he has a move called a cheeky Nando's.
Yeah, I don't know why it came up. I guess it's just because he loves Nando's so much.
Nando's?
Nando's? I don't know why I said Nando's like that either.
Right, guys, you know what we're having for tea?
Nando's. Let's not make that a thing. Yeah, it is one of my favourite calls to remove. A little fact for you, Vic. When they were on... remember when they brought back World of Sport on ITV?
Yes.
Well, Will Ospreay was on that, but they couldn't call it a Cheeky Nando's, so they had to call it a Cheeky Fernando's.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah.
Ospreay then manages to power him up onto his shoulders and then go back to the Cheeky Nando's. Ospreay makes his way to the top rope, but Zack Sabre Jr. smartly rolls away. and the crowd start booing because they think he's gotten away from the move. But Ospreay still manages to jump halfway across the ring and deliver a drop kick to his downed foe for another 2 count. Ospreay then goes for his hidden blade strike and ducks it, and, well, just look how smooth this section is.
How strong is Will Ospreay?
I think Will Ospreay might be that monster now.
Oh, with the hidden blade, Sabre ducked out, had it scouted. Ospreay 1 step ahead. Sabre through to his feet, kicks away the arm. Oh, wow!
No, I think you're right, Andy. Zack Sabre Jr. is that monster.
Zack Sabre Jr. starts tying up Ospreay in every way, but once again gets back to the ropes for a rope break. Zack Sabre Jr. just has a way of making every move look really, really vicious.
Yeah, he really sells the submissions as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like every one, it just looks like it's actually in.
Yeah, it just looks like an arm's going to come out any second.
Yeah.
Zack then hits 2 massive penalty kicks, but misses the third, and Ospreay starts taking charge again.
Those 2 kicks looked real. They look like they hurt.
Yeah. He just runs at him full pelt.
Yeah.
It's not a fancy move, but it gets a massive reaction from the crowd every time.
Booted him.
He does, he just runs at them and boots them. He goes to the top and hits a shooting star press, and then lands the Oz Cutter, but Zack Sabre Jr. smartly rolls to the apron, but is pulled back in and gets hit with a top rope Oz Cutter, but again only just gets the 2 count. Zack Sabre Jr. manages to avoid all of the next exchange and gets Ospreay locked up in an octopus hold, but again is broken up by a rope break.
Hang on a minute, what? An octopus hold?
Yes, an octopus hold. I think when you just watch it, he does just look like an octopus, just holding on from every different angle.
Oh, okay.
As if he's got more limbs than possible.
I've never heard that term before, but I like it.
Yeah. A little cheeky octopus. Zack then lands the heaviest kick of the match, which Ospreay sells like death. Zack Sabre Jr. lands the Sabre driver and locks in a triangle choke. He then starts raining down nasty looking elbows. I like with the triangle choke, you keep seeing him try to adjust it to get it tighter and tighter. Another thing which, if you know how to apply the hold, just makes it look more realistic, because that's exactly how you would do it. His legs aren't wide apart, they are in tight. He's obviously just not squeezing really tight. Ospreay powers out and lands a powerbomb, but sits there too long and gets caught in the triangle again. The crowd go mental, and I think they really thought that Ospreay was going to lose at this point. Somehow they make it back to the corner, and Ospreay starts making his way up the ropes with the triangle still locked in, and hits another powerbomb from Brett's rope, the most dangerous rope. Ospreay then hits a crushing hidden blade and the Stormbreaker, and gets the 1, 2, 3 to capture the undisputed British heavyweight title, and the crowd explode.
New champion! He's done it! Boy Simmons, Will Ospreay has done it!
So Vicky, that was the 5-star match from 2020, Will Ospreay versus Zack Sabre Jr. What did you think of the match?
I thought it was good, but as I said, I'm not a huge fan of British style wrestling overall.
Okay.
And for me, the first 60%, I just wasn't that into it. I can't say it was bad, but maybe because I was comparing it to the one we watched last week, which from the get-go was 5-star. This one I felt the first 60% was a bit like something big's going to have to happen for it to be incredible. And it did, it was good, but I'm going to go in with half points already.
Okay.
Because we're early on.
Okay.
And I'm going to say 4.5.
Okay, so yeah, 4.5. I mean, you still think it was an exceptional match, just not quite that
wasn't quite there for me.
Best matches of all time for
Didn't
you?
have me on the edge of my seat.
Okay, no, I think that's fair enough.
Technically it was good, but
Yeah.
didn't grab me.
Well, the reason I picked this match for second after the TNA match that won 5 stars is because this is the match that Will Ospreay always says made him want to be a wrestler. And I think you can see from his style that AJ Styles was always his biggest,
Yeah.
his favourite growing up. Which I think, he does the phenomenal forearm. That's like a tribute to AJ Styles. But you can see some similarities in that match as well. There were some spots that I thought, oh, that's close to that. That looks like that. So that's why I picked it for the second week.
What would you give it out of 5?
Well, I'm not just sitting on the fence. I think I'd agree with you. I think it was a brilliant match.
Happy wife, happy life. You made the right decision.
Yeah, I guess so. But no, I really like Will Ospreay. Some people used to see him as more like a spot monkey. He used to do just a lot more high-flying style manoeuvres.
I like the term spot monkey. Sorry, I got distracted.
Spot monkey, yeah, I know. But he has calmed down on that a bit more now because he's trying to fit into more of a heavyweight role. And some people really don't like Zack Sabre Jr.'s style, which is a lot more hold-based rather than flashy moves all the time. And I think that's why these two complement each other so much.
Yeah.
Because they are so different. But I really like both of them. I think they're both amazing and probably two of the best British guys in the world at the moment. Possibly ever. But yeah, I don't know if this match is quite 5 stars, how I would put 5 stars. The fact that this match was it 15 years later?
Yeah.
Yeah, 15 years later than the TNA match. Do you think wrestling's moved on a lot from then?
No.
No, I don't think. I think if you went 15 years back from 2005, say to 1990, and you looked at a 5-star match from then, I think it would have been completely different.
Yeah.
Whereas that 2005 match to now felt very similar.
Yeah. I wouldn't have known that it was 15 years different.
No, I don't think I would.
Especially because it was a UK show, so it wasn't filmed like as fancy as a WWE or New Japan.
No.
So I think because the quality, this isn't having a dig at British wrestling at all, but the way British wrestling is the way British wrestling is filmed, because they are smaller promotions and they don't have TV deals, it is filmed differently.
Yeah.
And the quality isn't quite there because they don't have the number of cameras and the rigs and things that WWE have.
No, of course not.
So looking at it, the quality was probably the same as the TNA one we watched. So they could have been the same time frame.
Well, I think that's a good point as well. Like, I know we talked about commentators, we talked about the actual moves in the ring, and we talked about the crowd last week because they were so loud. I think this crowd was probably just as loud. But it maybe didn't come across quite as well because they don't have the production values.
Yeah.
Which I think is something that is quite good to bring out. Maybe the production values do enhance a match as well.
Yeah.
Which is something that maybe we didn't think about last week as well. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. It might be worth looking at another indie match sometime in this list to see how those production values compare to this, and if it can alter your perception on a match. Would you like to see more matches from these two after watching this match?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd happily watch them again.
Yeah, definitely. Well, actually, let's stay on that point a second while we're here. The fact that Will Ospreay has got 8 5-star matches, do you think that shows how good wrestling is now? Or do you think, because I was thinking about this earlier, do you think that shows how good wrestling is now? Or is it because wrestling as a whole isn't quite as good and special that more matches are getting 5-star reviews?
Oh, that's an interesting point.
So say a 5-star match, say in the 90s, is that going to be leaps and bounds better than a 5-star match now because they were held to a higher standard? I don't know. I don't know what the answer's going to be.
No, and also, if you've watched like loads of matches that are, say, 3-star and just like mediocre, you could give something 5-star that isn't necessarily 5-star just because you're comparing it to what you've just seen. So like that one, I gave it 4.5 stars, but I'm comparing it to last week's one.
Yeah.
Whereas if I was just comparing it to, say, Elimination Chamber, I probably would have given it 5 stars.
Yeah, I think we're going to spoil ourselves as well because we're only watching 5-star matches.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. So I think our final thing on that, 4.5 stars. Would we agree with that?
Yeah, 4.5.
So at the moment, we put this in second place.
Yeah.
I think that's
2 of 2.
2 of 2. So that was our thoughts on this match. One of only 2 5-star matches that have taken place in the UK. What did you guys think of this match? Where does it list in your rankings? Is it better than the TNA 3-way? Are there any other UK matches that you think should have reached the same accolade? Please, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, hit the subscribe button, as it would really help out the channel. So it's a bye from Vicky.
Bye, guys.
And it's a bye from me. Bye. And hopefully we'll see you for another installment soon.